Oh my goddess, are we going through a shift this year? When I talked about earlier this year that we were going through a huge transformation and this is an important year, then if you want to find out why that is, then you want to make sure that you stick around so that we can discuss Neptune entering into Aries. Cura, 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 cura corazón. Cura, cura, cura. Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Blooming Lotus Healing Channel. My name is Jikara and I'm a spiritual healing facilitator. And today we're going to talk about some really interesting things that are showing up. And as the more I become more in tune with what's happening, and the more I pay attention to the astrological shifts that are happening this year, the more I realize that we are going through a huge shift. So if you have been feeling like there's a huge shift, and I know that a lot of people that I've talked to that are super intuitive, they've been feeling this shift, and maybe they're not necessarily following the astrology, but we are all feeling this. And so if you kind of want to put like arms and legs and like kind of define this big shift that is coming, then you definitely want to stick around so we can expand into this. So I have a bunch of different books and resources that I've been reading, and I'm going to share these with you. And then at the end, I will also pull some cards for the collective, specifically in regards to Neptune entering into Aries on March 30th. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm going to do a reading, and I'm going to tap into the collective energy and see what are the messages that we can take along from spirit so that we can apply these and be able to navigate these shifts that are happening for us as a collective. So if this is your first time here, I want to thank you for being here and listening to me here. I want to invite you to share and like this video or this podcast if you feel that this is supporting you in any shape or form. And also subscribe to this channel or podcast. Please subscribe and support. And if you already subscribed, thank you so much. Make sure that you are hitting that bell button so that you know when I go live next or when I post my next video. So I kind of wanted to also share here that I do have a sister channel that I have created alongside with some beautiful people, and we are creating meditation music as well as meditation guided meditation videos, as well as collective Akashic record clearing, which, oh my, is it this conversation about collective information that I'm sharing today, is it aligned with this channel? Absolutely. So that's where I'm kind of depositing a lot of different ways for you to kind of navigate the energies and support you in whichever way that I can. And it's completely free. And we are actually launching today an ad-free version of everything that we're putting up online, and you will actually get access. Early access actually to all of the videos that we put up. So as we create new videos, we'll be posting them in the private community that we're that we've created. So it's going to be a membership area, and it'll support financially the channel because the channel is not being monetized, and I don't have a way to control the ads. So this is a great way for you to get access to these ad free. If you don't have already YouTube Red, then this is a really great way to do that if you wanted to support also the channel. And the intention behind it is to really support the collective energies and support everyone that is in need at this time. So I wanted to share here a quick version of what I'm sharing with you for those of you. All right. So for those of you who want to go over to the Akashic Records channel, you can go ahead and subscribe to that sister channel that I was mentioning at the Akashic Records channel, so that you can support that channel and also support yourself and listen to meditation music and guided meditations and also clearings. I'll be posting a lot of clearings there to support you. Okay. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's talk about Neptune. Okay. And before we start, let's go ahead and open the sacred container because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that's heavy. And so let's go ahead and take this moment to ground ourselves and connect to our connection to earth. I would invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And let's take a couple of deep breaths together to connect with our beautiful earth and ourselves. And I want to invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose and release your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose and release your mouth. I want to invite you to visualize yourself connecting to Mother Earth with every breath you take, allowing yourself to create a beautiful cord that connects you to the depth of Earth, to the center of the Earth. And as you do this, allow yourself to breathe in Pachamama, breathe in that beautiful energy of Mother Earth, combining your energy with her energy, knowing and remembering that you come from this beautiful planet, that this body belongs to this planet, and we are here basically just for one lifetime at a time, borrowing these beautiful bodies that are given to us by Mother Earth to express and expand our souls. So deep, deep thanks to Pachamama, to Mother Earth for supporting us. Take this moment to visualize yourself connecting to your higher self, calling in your higher self, calling in your soul, calling in all the aligned aspects of yourself, your original blueprint, calling it in, realigning you to your truth, to your wisdom, to your deep understanding. As we open the sacred container, we ask Archangel Michael to shield and protect the space. Also, Archangel Sandalphon is here supporting, and it is supporting us with bringing in some violet flame. Thank you, Archangel Sandalphon. Archangel Raphael is here supporting us with a beautiful energy of emerald green light. And Archangel Metatron is here supporting with the deep wisdom of ourselves and our Akashic Records. Thank you, Archangels. I ask for everything that is not for the highest good or the highest good of all to be removed, to clear any programs, misunderstandings, perceptions that are not for the highest good and the highest good of all. I ask Spirit to realign all of those who are listening to this, whether it is live or on the replay, to be realigned with their souls, with their wisdom, so that they may take what is for their highest good and leave what it's not. Applying the energy of harmony and love, understanding that everything that we receive, all the information, is for us to take forth and apply into our lives, and for us to move closer to you, dear Spirit, to be closer to love, unconditional love, clearing all fear, clearing all separation, and bringing in oneness with it all, with this planet and with this universe. Thank you, Spirit. Bring us the wisdom of connecting with the information of Neptune entering into Aries this month, and what it means for us and how do we apply this into our lives. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Neptune. Neptune in Aries. Grand Rising, Jacinda. Grand Rising to those of you who are watching here live. Thank you for being here. Let me know in the comments, how are you feeling? Where are you connecting from? And I'm so grateful that you're all here. So we're going to talk about Neptune. Neptune is entering Aries on March 30th. According to my calendar here, we are going to be entering into this new era starting at 5 a.m. Um, on Sunday, March the 30th. And before that, there's going to be two eclipses that are going to happen during the month of March as well, that are going to be pivotal as well energetically for us. So we want to be mindful of these eclipses. I will be posting on the Akashic Records channel a clearing for the eclipse, and I most likely will be posting a clearing for Neptune as well, connecting with the energy of Neptune. So just so you know, so we're gonna have a solar eclipse on the day before Neptune goes into Aries. So that's gonna be that Saturday. We're gonna have a solar eclipse, and we're gonna be in the new moon on that Saturday. So there's gonna be a lot of release for that day. So the energy it's gonna be a little wonky that day. So you might want to be mindful of making any decisions or starting anything new during that time, especially because we're going to be in the midst of Mercury retrograde. So we want to be mindful of that. But we have the lunar eclipse happening on Friday the 14th as well. And at that time, we're going to be already feeling the energy of Mercury retrograde. So there's a lot of wonky energy. And then we want to look at the state of the world right now. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this collective energy is because there's a lot where I know that all of us are feeling overwhelmed. There's been a lot of just confusion of where we're going and what's happening, right? Like what is really happening. And this is why I feel personally I tend to look up at the stars to find answers. I tend to look up at the universe to find answers, especially in these times that are collectively very difficult. Sort of like how we went through in 2020, we went through a very difficult time collectively at the world. I mean, we saw something so big happen as a collective, and we're kind of going through a very similar thing, but more in the sense of the way we interact with each other, and also politically, and just in the way that we are relating to each other as countries and as people and as groups of people. And the more we look around, the more we see this feeling of separation. And then we have Neptune coming in right into Aries on the 30th, and then we're wondering, oh my goodness, this is a big planet that moves, I believe, every 14 years, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just confirm that with y'all here. But yes, every 14 years, right? So it spends 14 years in one specific sign, which that means that it shapes a decade and almost and a half, right? So that's like basically shaping an entire group of people that are born throughout that time, right? And then of course those who are already living, we're going to be feeling those shifts. So with Neptune, we are looking at the energy of transcendence, right? Neptune is going to invite us to transcend, to expand, to bring forth more creativity. There's also this opportunity for us to dream and dream big, right? We also can fall into a place of delusion, right? Because Neptune can bring this essence of escapism as well when it comes down to the way that we're relating to the world. And so let's think about this from the perspective as a collective, right? How are we operating from a place of escapism in our lives right now? We want to start addressing that right now, because Neptune is going to amplify that for us. So if you are trying to escape a situation and you're not confronting certain situations at this time, you definitely want to start moving into confronting them at this very moment. We don't want to move into further escapism, because we're then then when we are in that energy, we're contributing collectively to that energy of escapism, right? And at this moment, this is not the time for us to escape. This is the time for us to address, right? This is a time for us to realize that there could potentially be a little bit of chaotic energy that's going to be bubbling up. And then we think about Aries, and Aries being a very obviously a fire sign, but then also we have this energy of just initiation, right? So like maybe there's an initiation to chaos that may happen during this time. Why? Because we there's has been bubbling up. If you really look at the world and the state of the world, it's been bubbling up. And not only bubbling up, I mean, we've been experiencing a lot of stuff that has been very, very heavy. When we look at also what's been happening in Gaza, right? We look at that, and it's difficult for us to not feel the energy from that area, because those areas, we got to remember, Jesus, right, was born in that area. We have all of this very sacred land that is being basically desecrated, right, by decimated by all of this violence that's been brewing in the space, right? And it's continuing to expand, and that's not helping the collective, right? Because the energetic points of this planet are in very specific locations, and there's a very specific energetic point there, right? A very sacred portal in that area that is basically being hijacked energetically. And so we wanna really pay attention to this, because we've been kind of brewing or preparing for this, and then this could potentially expand into even more of that if we're not mindful of our own energy. So I don't want to scare you by any means, but I want to bring awareness to where we have to bring some accountability to our own energy individually, because that's what the only thing that we can do is to bring an accountability to our own energy, right? And then move into a place of saying, okay, I'm doing what I can, right? Uh, Also, based on my beautiful book here, so right now I'm looking at this book, The Astrology, by Carol Taylor. It's Astrology Using the Wisdom of the Stars for in your everyday life, and it's by Carol Taylor. It's one of the most revered books in astrology. It's very simple, and I love it because it's very, very easy. So when Neptune, right, goes through Aries, right, there could potentially be some new ideas that come in the arts, right? Maybe even birth of new ways of expressing art, things that we might not even understand. So that's something that can potentially be that we can potentially see as well. We can potentially see some changes in the way that we connect spiritually as well. We can see some changes in the way that we look at the world from a place of from our spirituality or a religion. Okay. There could potentially be this desire that comes for us to transcend certain situations. There's probably going to be this opportunity for us to really lean into transcendence. And so maybe even be more, a lot of people might be more interested in things like the Akashic Records, things like psychedelics, things that allow them to connect to channeling and higher perspectives. A lot of us who have been already connecting to this for a while, most likely are going to be leading the way for those people who are kind of coming into that space, right? Especially when when it's touching certain areas of their specific charts. And so one way that you can really pay attention to is in your chart specifically, where is it, and where could it potentially bring a little bit of chaotic energy, or maybe some feelings of like escapism. That's what we're going to look at as well. The shadows. You want to look also at where are you sacrificing, like what are the things that you feel like you need to sacrifice to make things happen in your life, right? But then also on the positive side, there's this like dreams and new ideas and new ways of connecting to our dreams, new ideas, new visions that we may have for the world. So there's this really powerful opportunity for us to shift and change the world in a positive way, right? And so I want to invite you to really take a look at that and think about in your own, like even in your own chart, where is Neptune, where does it reside, and this is going to be truly activated for you at this time. Okay, now another thing I wanted to mention too, so there's another astrologer that I follow. He's on Instagram. It's Color We Crazy, and I really love him because he connects with psychedelics, he connects with mushrooms, I connect with mushrooms, and I feel like this is a really important time for us, um energetically, right? But one of the things that he mentioned, that I think it's important for us to really look at, especially here in the US. If you're located here in the US, and the US in a way affects the entire world in many ways. And so even if you're not in the US, this is also important because there's a lot. We're a lot of us on the edge of our seats right now, wondering what's going to happen. Hi, Claire. Hello. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Welcome. So we have every time Neptune moves into Aries, the world hits a breaking point. Okay. The last time Neptune was in Aries was in 1861, in 1861 through 1875. Okay. This was when we saw the American Civil War. We saw the abolition of slavery and dismantling of old systems. We saw revolutions across Europe, Russia, and Japan. Okay. People fighting to reshape their governments. And so think about this for a minute and where we are now, right? Like I love that he brought this to light because we are in this time where we are reshaping. There's a lot of reshaping that's happening, and the US is sort of like creating a lot of that reshaping at this time. And we're kind of wondering, we're kind of scratching our heads, like, where are we going now? Right? We're kind of wondering what's next. And this is a time for us to start imagining, for us to start coming into that awareness internally and say, this is what I envision for me. And then this is a time for us to start taking action, right? So like Aries is not about sitting back and relaxing. Aries is about taking action around our dreams, right? So this is not about like, oh, I'm just going to stay in the mind and vision all this. Oh, I have this dream. And no, it's about, oh, I have this dream. Let's make it happen. It's a very reactive sort of energy, right? And so that's probably what we're going to see is people reacting to what their ideals are, what they imagine, right? For the world, and then reacting into that, right? Bringing in that action, that activism. But that activism might be a little fiery, right? It'll be more aggressive than maybe a peaceful sort of activism, right? So we might see this unfold for us, and this potentially could be our reality. And like I said, even though I'm not an astrologer myself, I am paying attention. I'm paying attention to what the planets want to tell us, because the planets are talking to us. They're letting us know this is what's happening. Take a look around. Let's try to understand what's happening and find a way to consciously engage with this energy, right? So how can you consciously engage with this energy? Ask yourself that question, right? Ask yourself the question, what are the dreams that I have? Where do I imagine my world should look like or should feel like? How can I find some ways to reshape my environment and my community, right? Thinking about these things are important questions that we need to ask ourselves at this time. Okay. The other thing that he mentions here is the Industrial Revolution explodes, the railroads, the mechanized warfare, and mass production changed the world forever. We are in the advent of artificial intelligence. Dear souls, we are in the advent of artificial intelligence. That is another revolution that is happening right now, and it's happening as we speak. We are relying more and more onto artificial intelligence. There is already so much advancement in the robotics and how this is integrated with our artificial intelligence. This is no longer the sci-fi that we saw in the movies. This is the reality that is happening. And I care to say here that I feel like movies tell us the future. They really do, right? They prepare us mentally. So sort of programming for us to kind of see what's coming, right? Whether it is happening at the conscious level, meaning that they're doing this because they know that this is going to happen, or whether it's happening at the subconscious level where, creativity comes through and the subconscious mind and spirit works through through the artist, and the writer and the producer and those who are creating the movies. We don't know that, right? We can't really know. But what I can tell you is that all of these things that we have seen in the movies are actually going are happening, right? They are happening, and they're going to continue to happen, and we're going to continue to see this revolution. So how do we want to see artificial intelligence? This is an opportunity for you to start thinking about how would you like to see artificial intelligence be integrated in your life, because it's here. It's not going anywhere, but we want to start shaping that into our minds, that into our dreams, right? Into how do we want this to be? How do we want this to be integrated so that we can advocate for ourselves? We don't want this to be implemented for us. We want to advocate for the way that we want artificial intelligence to be part of our lives. Do we want to become slaves to this artificial intelligence, or do we want this to be an enhancement to our lives? And so thinking about these things are important questions that we want to ask ourselves, because let me tell you, this is such a big shift collectively. And I feel it. And as I'm speaking about it, I am feeling that expansion happening. And so it's all about really connecting to this from a place of conscious awareness, and also trust that we can reshape this world consciously if we decide to do so. Okay. So, um, for the next 13 years, we may need to come into terms that there's going to be a lot of action taking by people. Some of us are going to be more on the back. Some of us might be more on the front end, or you may go oscillate between the front lines and the back, right? You may oscillate between both. You may be the one that's going to be out there doing all the activism and being super active and even impulsive, or you may be one of those people who are on the background just doing some energy work. For those of you who are in the energy field and who understand that there is this sense of togetherness that we need to bring, I want to really bring into your awareness, not to feel that you are that you have to go into the front lines of activism for you to feel like you're in alignment with the entire world, because action can also be opening yourself to offering support to those who are on the front end, because their nervous systems are going to be so frayed, so fried. It's going to be intense. So they're going to need those of us who are potentially focusing on our nervous system being balanced and harmonious. We're going to be needed the most. That's how we show up and take action. So I want to invite you to really think about this from that perspective as well, right? Don't feel that you have to go out and be reactive, because there's going to be those who are being called and that's their calling. But if you're not feeling that's your calling, that's okay. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're doing something wrong. Just understand that your calling most likely will be to hold space for those who are out there taking these intense actions and dysregulating their nervous system. We get to then hold space for those people so that we don't go into complete chaos and spiral down a place of insanity. So those people are also needed, and that is an action that you can take. So I want to invite you to do that. So if you're sitting down and you're praying and you're focusing on meditating and that's the calling that you have, do it. If your calling is to go out and offer sound baths for people and support, go ahead and do it. That is also an aligned action for you. Okay. So, but do prepare to connect to your courage, to connect to action, to also witness a lot of action and courage and even conflict around you. Okay. We want to make sure that we're focusing again on regulating our nervous system as much as we can. Okay. So, what can we expect during this time? So according to Color We Crazy here, he says, we may expect more ideological battles. So, meaning that where ideology is one way and the ideological thoughts of someone else are different, right? And we may have more of that battle. We've already been witnessing that, but we're going to see it more during this time. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of people clashing and even systems collapsing because of that. Okay. You may notice that even global institutions may start shifting or even changing completely or even dissolving or disintegrating. So these global institutions that were originally created may not even be there anymore because there's so much of that shift and that change that is happening at the collective. Because remember, the collective mind is also we are part of that collective mind. And if the majority of the collective mind wants that change, then that change is going to happen. Regardless if we're doing this from a programmed state or not, the change is going to happen, right? We may potentially see a lot of radicalism when it comes out to the leaderships that we are presented with. People are potentially going to be angry and upset, and they're going to want to see their visions of what they believe is best come to fruition. So they're going to support these leaders that are more, let's say, they're not peaceful, but more aggressive in the way that they move into the world. So we may see that, right? We also can see a lot of people going into a place of complete disconnection. So we may find ourselves feeling like we need to disconnect from all of this because we are so overwhelmed by all of this, and so we just kind of give up, right? We give up and we just say, okay, well, I don't have the strength or the courage to do this, right? We may go into that place. But I want to invite you to really invite yourself to see, again, to address any escapism that you may be experiencing right now, to address that right now before this shift happens, so that you don't fall even deeper into that energy. Okay? So what can you do at this time? You can start thinking about what do you really feel that it's important to you? What would be your mission moving into this 14-year process that we're going to be going through? We're going to need to walk each other home right now, dear souls. This is a time for us to really step in and really do the work. We're going to be tested. All of the work that you've been doing up until now, if you've been in this spiritual path for a while, dear soul, you're going to be tested. And you're going to need to use all of the tools that you've learned to be able to support yourself in this journey and also to be able to support others. So we're going to really need to ground into Mother Earth. Okay? It's important that you stay flexible at this time. Give yourself permission to shift. You may need to shape shift a little bit, right? You may need to be a little bit more understanding of what's happening with others. And so because the thing is that if we're going to hold space for people, if we are going to hold space as healers, we need to hold space for everyone, because everyone is hurting. Doesn't matter if they're from point A or point B, everyone is hurting. So if someone from point A is coming, hold space for them with love, compassion. Someone from point B is coming, hold space for them. Love, compassion. That's our job. Our job is to be in oneness, because at the end of the day, everyone is coming from a place of pain and hurt. And we all want the same thing. Overall, as humans, we all want the same thing. We just go about it a little different. But we all want the same thing, right? I want to invite you to really start thinking beyond what is presented to you. How can you start scanning the information you're receiving, even what I'm telling you right now? Hey, listen, you're here listening to me, but I want to invite you to scan in your body. How does this feel in your body? Does that align with you? Start thinking for your own. Don't let the things that are presented to you be the only way that you get to think, right? We don't want to continue to reprogram ourselves. Really, the work that we're doing to bring the new earth, which this is what's happening right now, right? The work that we do to bring the new earth is not about continuing the same programming and just letting ourselves be programmed over and over again to where we don't even know who we are. We really want to take the moment to think about the things that are being told to us and then compare them to our own wisdom, because you have your own wisdom, dear soul. I'm not here to program you at all. That's one of the reasons why I struggle sometimes posting here, because I don't want to program people. I want people to think for themselves. But at the same time, then I get the calling to come back, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll come back and share, because we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. We need to have the conversations, right? And it's been a difficult, very difficult thing. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I in 2023, since 2023, I've been in this deep, very deep journey. Okay, I was taken right before the Gaza strip exploded, which was in October 7th. I was actually driving up to Illinois to do a Vipassana retreat for 10 days to disconnect from the world. I go in, the world normal. I come out and the world is a mess. And I felt so depressed because I said, what's going to happen? And I was feeling the energy. I was already feeling the energy collectively that something was just not good. Things were not going well. Right. And here we are. Here we are going through this. Right. And and as I went through that depressive state, which I stopped posting, you notice that I stopped posting here. I stopped posting because I felt depressed. I'm saying it. I felt depressed and anxious about what was happening. My heart hurts to see people killing each other. It hurts. I can't handle it. I don't understand it, because in my heart, all I understand is that we're here to love each other. That's what I understand. Call me a hippie if you want. My mom, she says all the time that I'm that I should have been born in the 70s, because she says that I should have been a hippie, right? But it's true. That's how I feel. I feel so much of the pain. And so for me, I have to really regulate myself so much. And so if you're one of those very sensitive people, one of those empaths, I want to invite you to really just take the time to regulate yourself as much as possible. We're here to support those who aren't able to feel because they're so numb. They're so numb because they are hurt, right? That's our job. That's the calling. That's at least the calling that I feel this Neptune in Aries is bringing forth for me. So we got to prepare. We got to prepare for this. And we want to make sure that we take the time to figure out, where do we stand? Where is it that we stand? And how are we going to fight the fight? How do we choose to fight the fight, right? So I want to invite you to really start thinking about, what's the state of your mental health, right? Because Neptune is very mental. So thinking about ways to improve your mental health and tools to improve your mental health, right? Also, recognizing that psychedelics are not a drug; they're actually medicine. Thinking about ways to incorporate that if you have the ability to do so. I am a huge advocate for it. And Oprah Winfrey just posted a video yesterday on Instagram. And you can go into my Instagram and check it out, because I reposted it, on psychedelics. And I'm so excited about that. And I believe that is Neptune. That is Neptune coming in and shifting the energy. That is the energy. We're already feeling the energy shift, but we're going to be in it on March 30th, right? And so think about, how can you start incorporating these? And psychedelics include things such as cannabis. You can use cannabis in a beautiful, sacred way. You can use, which is more available in many states now. And then you have mushrooms, which is available in a few states here in the US. And then, of course, there's the possibility to connect with Mama Aya, ayahuasca, which she's available. But also, if you want to travel, then there's that opportunity for you to travel and receive the medicine directly in the Amazon with the tribes down there. A lot of people, there's a rise of people connecting to Mama Aya. She's calling people, because the awakening has been happening. It's been happening. She's been calling people in. for a while. She's been doing so much work through these beautiful shamans who come from these beautiful generational connection to this jungle medicine. And then we have the other psychedelics, which I don't really, I'm not familiar with them, so I don't really talk about them. I'm familiar with these three, and so those are the ones that I personally can say they're amazing ways to open your heart, open your mind, release the ego, connect to your heart, connect to the heart of Mother Earth, of Pachamama, realize what really matters in this world, taking care of our planet, taking care of our nature, grounding ourselves the best that we can so that we can take aligned action again in consciousness. So I feel like I've been talking a lot. So I'm going to pull some cards. This time I'm going to do a collective card pull. It's not going to be per sign like I usually do. I will do a collective card pull so that we can see what tarot and what does the spirit of psilocybin have to say about these energies of Neptune in Aries. And so I want to invite you to stick around for that. And yeah, so I'm so excited. So let me know in the comments, how do you feel about the shift? Are you feeling the shift, right? Are you feeling like you may have this fiery energy activating for you in the sense of situations that were actively bothering you in regards to the collective, to your own collective space, right? To your own government, your own state, your own city, your neighborhood, whatever that is. Do you have anything that you're experiencing? Let me know in the comments. And I also wanted to invite you to go over to my website, thebloominglotushealing.com, and sign up for my email list. I am giving away a Venus in retrograde clearing for anyone that wants to receive it. You can post here, comment Venus. I am ready for my Venus in retrograde clearing. You can post that here in the comments, and then also go over to thebloominglotushealing.com and sign up for my email list. Once you sign up for the email list, go here and post a comment for the Venus in retrograde so you can be placed into the raffle. I will be announcing it on the 28th of this month. I will be announcing the winner of the raffle. So feel free to sign up for my email list so that you know what I have going next. Also wanted to mention that I run a mediumship circle with a beautiful soul. His name is Maurice Sinclair. I had him here on the channel before. If you want to go check out some of the videos that we've done here about mediumship circles and mediumship in general, you can join the mediumship circle directly through my email list. So that's where you find out when the circles are coming next. So if you want to sign up for the mediumship circle, please go ahead and do so. Yeah, so I'm going to post a link to the mediumship circle on the comments later so that you can sign up if you're interested. We have one tonight at 7 p.m. from 7 to 9. So feel free to do that. So let's go ahead and pull some cards for this Neptune in Aries. This is the book, by the way, if y'all are interested in getting it, that I was reading from, Astrology Using the Wisdom of the Stars in Your Everyday Life by Carol Taylor. An amazing. And then I also recently got this beautiful daily guided planetary guide by the Llewellyns. It's a 2025. If you want to, I'm not supported by them or anything. I'm just sharing with you what I use. So feel free to get it if you want that. I'm not being monetized by them or anything. So it's just me just sharing things that I like. Okay. So I'm going to connect with the collective consciousness here. I'm going to ask Spirit to help me connect with the collective consciousness and to give us information in regards to Neptune in Aries and how can we move into these next 14 years? What do we need to know about these next 14 years? Dear Spirit, show us through these cards, give us guidance and support as a collective. For those who are watching this, whether it is now on the replay, just as a collective, for humanity, what do we need to know, dear Spirit? Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. Spirit be knowing, y'all. The cards never lie. The cards never lie. So I pulled some cards in regards to the Neptune in Aries that is coming. And I'm going to go ahead and share here the cards. So we have, of course, fire energy present. We have the Seven of Wands upside down. We have the Four of Wands upside down. We have the Two of Cups right side up. Okay. And we have the Chariot. So we have the Chariot right side up. We have the card of the Spores from the Spirit of Psilocybin. We have the card of Grandmother Water from Spirit of Psilocybin. And we have the card of Bad Trip from the Spirit of Psilocybin. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this means. So based on what I'm seeing here in regards to what's the guidance as a collective in regards to these changes and these shifts with Neptune. Give me a sec. I have a little baby here that wants to be held. In regards to these shifts, we may deal with a feeling of, as a collective, of wanting to give up or surrendering, almost like what's the point of continuing, to take any action. There's sort of like this feeling of just not wanting to stand up for ourselves and our beliefs. So we're being invited to do the opposite, right? To really stand up for ourselves and our beliefs, and not give up. But there's going to be that feeling for a lot of us, and almost like wanting to give up and not wanting to continue the battle because we're just exhausted, right? We also may feel sort of lack of support because we're seeing, and this the reason why, remember when I mentioned us versus them, right? Like this whole like A or B, and then this energy of just being separated, one ideology versus another ideology. And because of that separation, feeling as if we're not really supported, feeling as if like, wow, like this ideology is not supporting my ideology. And then just feeling this lack of support, and then in turn creating more anger and creating more frustration, and in turn creating more conflict, right? And so we want to really pay attention to this, because if we're going to move into a place of conscious awareness in this space, we want to really allow ourselves to see our opportunities to find common ground with each other, right? We may feel like we may not feel as rooted, we may not feel as grounded, right? And during this time, because there's a lot of conflict and feeling of instability, right? Feeling as you're unwelcomed wherever you go, right? Like you may feel like, oh well, now I'm not sure if I need to walk on eggshells around in public, because I'm not sure if my person, my essence is welcomed in this space, right? And so how do we move into a place of feeling welcomed and feeling at home? Is again fostering community, celebrating what community means, maybe even starting and initiating opportunities for people to come together in with something in common, right? Something in common can even be something as simple as food, right? Potlucks, right? Something as simple as that can potentially foster community in your neighborhood, whether it is in your church, in your neighborhood, whatever that is for you, like in your workspace, whatever that is, bringing people together is important. Gatherings, and that will bring a lot of stability for us during this time. We also are being invited to start seeing or visualizing ourselves in unity, right? I know it sounds so simple. Well, the Two of Cups, what it's telling us here is that we really want to start visualizing and attracting what it means to be connected with each other. How can we bring close bonds with each other? How can we imagine ourselves joining together, joining forces with two different ideologies? Where do we meet in the middle? Again, where do we meet in the middle? What are the overlapping things in the ideologies? And where can we meet in the middle? That's what we need to find. And in order for us to do that, there's going to be some work, right? Because we're going to need to overcome the reactivity that we're going to be in. And that's the caveat here, right? And so that's the energy here that Spirit wants to share with us. How can we bring more unity? How can we bring more partnership? How can we bring that common ground with each other? Okay? How can we bring mutual respect? How can we join forces towards that common ground? That is what we want to foster moving forward. With the card of the Chariot, what that tells me is that we are being invited to practice self-discipline. This is the time, dear soul, to practice discipline and take action in an aligned way. Move forward in an aligned way, okay? To stay focused in what really matters at this time and not get swayed by the energies. Those conflict energies are going to sway you away from the focus, the original focus. That's the reason why before I pull the cards, I was asking you, what do you stand for? That needs to be your north. What do you stand for? What are your values? And you stick to those values. And that's where you want to be in that. That should be your point of focus, right? With the Spores card, what I see here is that, again, this is all about mental expression and ideas and the opportunity to start anew, to start over. So what the Spirit of psilocybin is telling us here is that we got this opportunity to give ourselves a clean slate, to give ourselves the opportunity to not to look back and say, you know what, we've been through this, but let's go ahead and start over. How can we move into a place of union moving forward, right? How can we put in new seeds, new ways of being into our world, into our life, into our communities, into our families, period, right? We got Grandmother Water calling us to be flexible, right, during this time, to bring awareness, to be fully in a space of receptivity, to receive each other. If we're going to bring communities together, we got to be receptive with each other. If we're not receptive with each other, how are we going to come together? We can't. So this is the calling of Spirit. We need to bring receptivity, right? We need to bring a little bit of flexibility, right? Where can we compromise? Obviously, we're not going to compromise in the places that are unacceptable, but we could potentially be flexible and compromise in certain areas, right? So that we can bring common ground, right? That's what relationships are about, right? And that's what we're going to be learning throughout this Venus in retrograde as well, throughout this month, right? How do we relate with each other and with ourselves? How can we connect with our emotions in a healthy manner, right? This is what the Spirit of psilocybin wants to bring forth with the Grandmother Water, okay? How can we connect with our emotional bodies from a place of conscious awareness? How can we become aware of these emotions and where they're coming from? And see yourselves in the mirror and say, this is something that is hurting me right now. Let me see where this is coming from. Let me reconnect to this and let me process this emotion. Let me take the time. Let me not escape this emotion, because remember, Neptune is going to want you to escape. You don't want to escape. You want to confront that emotion. You want to feel that emotion. You want to connect with that emotion. You want to process that emotion. You want to allow that emotion to be so that it can be alchemized through your body, through your vessel, right? We got to create sacred space for these places. That's the reason why I'm calling in and inviting you to connect with psychedelics. That's the reason why I'm inviting you to do that. Because these beautiful medicines allow us, when we are connecting with them in the correct way, they allow us to move through that. Right? So we want to do that. Then the other thing that we want to think about is the card of the bad trip, which is fear. Right? And we want to make sure that we allow ourselves to connect to our unhealed past, right? The fear that is coming up for us at this time is because we are connecting to a part of us that is connecting to fear from before. It could be a past life, right? We may have had other lifetimes where we connected to this energy, right? You could potentially have had, regardless of where you were, whether you were in the US or not, right? You could potentially have had a lot of this energy imprinted onto you from Neptune, right? From Neptune and Aries specifically, right? So we want to make sure that we address this with so much love and compassion for ourselves. Okay? So we want to talk about this from that honest way, right? And we want to confront those fears. We want to confront those issues from a place of love, compassion, but then also recognize that if they are alive within us, then we want to confront them, right? This is the time for us to connect, not escape. Do not escape. Okay? Do not escape this time, okay? The last thing that I want to mention here, from based on the reading here that I'm seeing, is that you want to, if I'm seeing here, some of you are saying that you're an Aries. Take a look at where Neptune falls in your chart, right? Where does it fall in your chart right now? And where is Neptune in your where does it fall right now in the sense of where it's falling at this time, the transit at this time? And then look at the chart where your original chart when you were born, and take a look at that and make some assessments there. Neptune is going to be touching these parts of you, right? So pay attention to that. Now, I'm not saying this to bring fear, but I'm saying this because we need to talk about this. I said at the beginning, this was going to be a heavy conversation, but we need to talk about this because we cannot escape anymore. We cannot escape. We have to think about ways, right? And feel into the ways of how we can be grounded and connected with ourselves, right? We cannot escape anymore. Think about any other aspect of yourself where you have been escaping, and how can you lean in to that fear or that feeling of uncomfort? How can you lean into that and connect to that, right? So let me know in the comments if you want to connect with this energy. I'll probably be doing a clearing for that, maybe at the Akashic Records channel, even here too live. As you can see, I've been posting some live clearings here as well. So if you're interested in that, you can let me know in the comments. We can potentially do that and support you in that shift. There's nothing to fear, right? There's nothing to fear. Fear are 4-letter words, and what we want to do is connect to the essence of what's happening and understand the reality of what's happening, the shifts that are happening, and ride the wave. Kind of like going into one of those parks, amusement parks, and we're going and we're going to ride the wave. And this is a 14-year wave. Right? But we're going to have to ride this wave, okay? So anyway, so that is what I have here for everyone. I want to invite you to really think about this. I know that this is very heavy. I know that what I said was not an easy thing. I did not want to talk about it, but I cannot in full integrity avoid these conversations. I can't. I just can't. And I avoided it for an entire year, right? And the reality is that I was processing a lot of that myself because I was I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression around this, and I was really sad to see what's happening and continue to be sad about what's happening. I still feel it. I'm out there in the trenches with you guys, right? I'm in here with you guys. But at the same time, I'm looking for ways to say, okay, what can I do in my own environment, in my own life, in my own daily routine? What can I do to help myself and help others, right? And so that's the reason why I started this 30-day challenge, right? And start posting here every day. Why? Because I wanted to show up. I wanted to show up. Why? Because this is the time for us to show up in the world. So however it is that you're going to show up in your life, however that is, just go ahead and do so. Okay. Um, so again, if you have been feeling these energies and you couldn't put, arms and legs to it, now you know why that is happening. A lot of people are feeling a big shift. They're just feeling it. A lot of empaths are feeling it. And this is the reason why. Just prepare yourself for this month. This is going to be a very transformational month. I did talk about this. The cosmic alignment, I have a cosmic alignment clearing at the Akashic Records channel. Go and listen to that. If you haven't done that yet, I highly recommend that you listen to the cosmic alignment clearing, because this is a year of like full transformation. Okay. 2024 into 2026. The person that you were in 2024 is definitely going to be not going to be the person that you're going to be in 2026. There's going to be a lot of transformation for you available for you this year. So how can we consciously apply this in our lives? Hence the reason why I'm bringing in tarot, I'm bringing in my oracle cards, I'm bringing in astrology. We're talking about this so that we can put arms and legs in it and understand it, see it, analyze it, and then take an aligned action. Okay. So anyway, this is the end of it. Thank you so much for being here, for listening to me, and for riding this wave with me. I'm so grateful for all of you. I want to invite you to like and share this video if you haven't done so yet. And if you feel it's going to help someone, please be sure to like. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please be sure to subscribe. I welcome to the fam. And then also, please be sure to go over to the bloominglotushealing.com, sign up for my email list, and then come back in here and post a comment saying Venus in retrograde clearing, Venus in retrograde clearing, or I am ready for my Venus in retrograde clearing, however you want to post it. But come back in here after you sign up for the email list so that you can be placed on a raffle, which I will announce the winner on March 28th. And you will receive a free clearing with me, a one-on-one session with me. We'll be live Zoom call for an hour where we will be clearing Venus in retrograde specifically for you, harmonizing the energies of the planets specifically for you for that hour. So I hope that y'all enjoy that. And if you want to book a session with me, you can go ahead and do so as well at thebloominglotushealing.com. And I want to invite you again to go over to my sister channel, at the Akashic Records channel, There are clearings there available for you right now. You can listen to those there. There's also clearings here on this channel if you want to explore those. But if you want something more, recent, there's some from this week that I've done and last week. But then there's also the ones from the week from prior months. If you haven't listened to those, please go ahead and do so. They're there to support you. And I will be posting for next week one for the eclipses, to support you with the eclipses that are happening in March, which I mentioned this month. So we're going to have both a lunar and solar eclipse. So there's going to be a clearing for that at the Akashic Records channel. So you want to make sure that you don't miss that out and you sign up for that. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I love you all. I'm sending you so much love, so much gratitude, and namaste.